Hi, I'm Dawn.
I'm Ashley.
And this is Mel.
Welcome to the Work It, You Are Worth It podcast.
We are here to discuss awareness, growth, and healthy relationships.
Are you ready?
Hey, Ash. Hey, Mel.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Don.
Hi.
Hi, Mel.
Hi, everyone. How you guys doing?
Good.
I'm
How about you?
Great.
I'm good. I'm wonderful. It has been a
Good.
really good weekend. My granddaughter's birthday party was here yesterday, and we had a bunch of people over, and it was just a lot of fun. We had a really, really good day.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Mel, what'd you do yesterday?
I had Friendsmas and I got together with some of my friends and we did a gift exchange and we had this like dice and you roll it and it tells you like take the gift, go left, take the gift, go
Mm-hmm.
right. You have to open up the gifts, stuff like that. And we had some really interesting gifts. We did. My husband got someone a voodoo doll. Like he picked out a
Oh,
voodoo
that's
doll with a pig
funny.
cushion. Yeah, it was so fun. And yeah, we had a really good time. It was a potluck. We had lots of food, and yeah, we had a really good time.
Nice.
Sounds
Never.
like a lot of fun.
It
It does.
was. It
You never
was.
can go wrong with a lot of food. So
What
Never.
about you,
nice.
Don?
What'd you do?
I did something completely different than I ever would normally do, and I played games with Colin.
Isn't that what you always do?
Yes, it is.
What game did you guys play yesterday?
We got this new game. It's called Monopoly Duel, I think.
Oh,
So it's Monopoly, but it's in card form.
because
So
Monopoly isn't competitive enough in the board game form, right?
well, no, I to me it's just too damn long.
Yes.
Con
Yes, it takes forever for sure. And somebody
Yeah,
ends up flipping the table halfway through because they go bankrupt.
right. And I'm like, like it's not for me. Colin loves it. I'm not a big fan of it. Um, so it's not something we play. But my sister, when she was here, they brought this game, and it's just you still get the buy the properties, you get the properties, but you have to collect in the game three full property sets. We upped it to five because three was too easy. Um, I will say this, if the game's fun, we play it a lot, we like it. I could see some ways that they could improve it because there's like no chance or community chest cards. There's
Gotcha.
no like yeah. You collect all this money and the only thing you're paying this money on is if somebody gets a rent card that they play. There's a few things they could tweak on it to make it a little bit better, but it's still obviously we played it for 3 hours yesterday and had
Nice.
fun. And then we played chess and played Chinese checkers.
Oh,
Beautiful.
we had
Sounds
a
like a
big
good
game
day.
night. That sounds like fun.
We did. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't
big,
played Chinese checkers since I was a kid.
I know I used to
I
play
don't
with my
even know.
grandma.
That's where you
uh
have to kind of skip over the color, right? You have to
yeah,
skip the
yep.
marble. Yeah, I haven't
So
played that forever.
we played it with one color each, and then that went really, really quickly. So then we were like, well, let's play it with each of us having three colors, and you had to get all the three colors,
Wow.
so that was a lot of fun. So then the jumping became even like,
More intense.
magnetized by three.
Yeah.
Yeah, multiplied by three. So yeah, it was fun. So that was it. Yeah, that's why I joked about something I don't do really do. I always play games with Colin. It is one of my favorite things to do.
Rob and I play Catan almost every single night because we're joining this tournament where you can win like a substantial amount of money. So we're practicing, and like you need more than three players. But like I think I've told you guys this in the past. We play with an imaginary player,
Yes.
Doug, but Doug has actually become like a person in the house. We actually talk about Doug all the
I
time.
love it.
He's an
Yeah.
entire thing.
He's an entire entity at this point. And like, you know what? He actually won our game yesterday. We actually had a quick game before we went out. And yeah, he won, but we think he's cheating, so
Oh, that guy.
that Doug.
That guy.
Yeah. Well, it's been a
I love
minute,
it.
guys, since we've like got together and chatted. It's been a
It
while.
has been, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta
So,
love the holiday season, right?
Yeah, it's
exactly.
really it's been a thing, eh? Every single weekend we seem to have
It is the
all had something
holidays.
going on.
Yeah. So we left off with control. We were in the middle of control patterns. And so we're gonna kind of try to finish. We're gonna finish those out. Um, so or not in the middle of control patterns, or in the middle of the characteristics. And we're going to finish those out with control patterns and then avoidance,
Yeah,
right? Avoidance or denial.
I think it's
I'm,
avoidance that's after control.
yeah, I think so
it's
too.
avoidance. I think, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
we did
avoidance.
denial already.
Yeah. So, yeah. So let's get
Do,
into control.
do you know one of the very first things I want to say about the control patterns? And please excuse me, you guys, for just jumping in and just
Jump.
taking it. But the very, very first thing I want to say about control pattern is I didn't even know I was controlling,
So did
right?
I.
Like people used to tell me that I was controlling, and I used to think controlling meant being bossy. And I wasn't bossy, but I was controlling. I like until I read these control patterns, I didn't realize what controlling actually was. So, for those of you out there listening right now, who the first thought in your head is, I'm not controlling, I'm a people pleaser. How can I be controlling? Pause and just give it a chance and just listen because I remember when the very first time I heard control patterns, that was my first thought. Nope, I'm not controlling. There is nothing in me that is controlling. And then I went through and I read these patterns and it was like, oh my God. I was assaulted. I really because I just had absolutely no idea.
So you and I have obviously talked about this, Ash, many times, but I was the opposite, right? You were very much, no, I'm not controlling. And I wore control as in a way, a badge of honor. People would tell me I was controlling all the time. And I know I was. And I would be like, that was my superpower in a way because, right? Oh, I had all my shit together and I was able to this, and I was controlling and I would say I'm controlling. Um, I also would say, people would say, God, you're such a bitch. And I'm like, yeah, I am, right? But I think one of the things for me, learning the patterns and learning the control patterns, especially, was how deep and how everything I do was really about control. Like
I hear you.
even denial patterns, avoidance patterns, right? Self-esteem, obviously, for me, being less than is the basis of all of it, and I think for most of us, right? Um, but control was the way that I could avoid feeling that.
I think that for myself, I control when I don't have control over my body, my thoughts, other people's opinions, and it is creating a fear in me. I find that like I don't need control to tell you what to do and stuff like that. My control is more I try to control other people's emotions to keep my emotions safe. And that is something that I've like really realized in myself through doing the step 4 and all my inventories is and I you wouldn't have thought that like you wouldn't think that, trying to make someone feel better or solve their problems or coach them and all that is a form of control. But it is actually one of the biggest forms of control and extremely manipulative, which I found really like eye-opening.
Mel, I wanted to ask you
Hmm.
5 years ago, 8 years ago, 20 years ago, if somebody had said, but not in an argument or something, of course, but like in an actual, genuine, authentic conversation, if somebody had suggested to you that you were controlling, would you have seen that and owned that? Like I would have absolutely denied it. I couldn't see it. Dawn would have owned it and like held it like a badge. How would you have? I'm just curious to see the differences.
I think I there were things that I was really controlling about, especially as a kid. Like one of it was
Did you
cigarette
know it
cigarette.
then?
Well, I guess I should have because my mom used to call me the warden Because I guess I came with a lot of rules. And I guess I
That's
still do. I
controlling.
do. I do come with a lot of rules. So yeah. Yeah, I guess. But I mean, no, not at the time. I don't think if you would have said it to me at the time, I would see it. But now I can see it. See it big time.
I think about for me control, like when I say that I wore it, like I wore it as a badge and I was very much in control because I was trying to control me, right? I was trying to control me through others, which is I think people struggle with this where, well, isn't like I'm supposed to control myself. Isn't that good? And the confusion gets there. It gets in there. It was like, right, am I controlling myself by indirectly controlling others to get them to do what I want?
Yeah, I mean, so that's what I did, right? Of course, I didn't know it, and
Yep.
I would have
Right?
adamantly denied it, and I denied it to myself. Many people, like all of you have heard me talk about. Anybody that listens to podcasts regularly have heard me talk about Nick. One of his things that he used to tell me all the time was that I was controlling. I was manipulative in a way to be controlling, right?
Yep.
And he wasn't wrong. Of course, at the time, that was just so insulting. How dare you? But he wasn't wrong. I would very much like you were saying, Mel, but also very much like you were saying, Dawn. Like if I pleased other people, if I made them emotionally happy, emotionally
Hmm.
safe, if I fixed their issues, then they wouldn't come at me and I would be safe.
Yeah.
So I saw their issues before they did so that I could fix their issues and solve them before they realized they were a problem so that I could be safe. And I would manipulate people with my actions, my emotions, and my words in order to try to get them to walk the path I wanted. Right. So
Yep.
let's say Nick had a bad day at work and I was going to come home and the kids were in bad moods. I would stop at the store and get the kids each their favorite treat. And I would bring their treat home. And then I would quietly go to each of the kids on their own and I would tell them, hey, Nick had a really rough day at work
Uh-huh.
today. So we got to make sure that we kind of let's be really good today so we don't piss him off and he doesn't get in any fights. And I would give them their little treat. And at the time, I thought I was keeping peace. Right. So then I would go in, I'd make Nick his favorite dinner and I'd make sure he had a beer and I'd try to turn on some music and I'd pick the music I thought he wanted to hear, try to put him in a good mood,
Hmm.
even though his bad day at work had absolutely nothing to do with anybody in that house except for him.
Right.
And it never worked.
And I love this example you're getting because there's control in it twofold, right?
Right.
Because I'm gonna you with what you said, right? You're trying to make your you better, like right. Controlling him makes it easier for you.
It would have been the house would have been safer for me if he
Yes.
was in a good mood, if the
Yep.
kids were well behaved, then I wouldn't have to worry about anybody being angry.
Right. You were controlling Nick.
I
You were
was
controlling
safe.
the kids to
Right.
get what you needed.
So I could feel emotionally safe.
Hmm.
But if you'd have asked me that then, I would have spun it and twisted it and turned it to where it looked like,
You were
what do
trying to
you
help him
mean?
out.
I'm being a good mom. I'm bringing my
Yep.
kids treats because they had a bad day and I'm trying to help them have a good day and he had a bad day, so I'm just trying to help him be happy.
Right. I'm
How
trying to
is
make
that
it quiet.
controlling?
Da.
Like, but it was
Hmm.
and that's why I chose that specific example, right? Because it's one of those things that if taking right, if you put a certain pair of glasses on and you put it in a certain context, it could be a positive thing. I'm playing somebody's music, I'm making their favorite dinner, I'm bringing the kids some treats, I'm being considerate of other people's feelings. But the reality was I wasn't doing it because I was being considerate of their feelings. I was doing it to make me feel safe.
And I think that's one of the things that in all of this, right, when we look at what we're doing, why we're doing it, we have to look at our intention behind it. Your intention wasn't being a good mom in that moment. Your intention was, let me make my life easier, better, calmer, safer, whatever that word is. let me make it easier, better, whatever for the kids. And your intention, like, right, and I think that's one of the things we need to we have to look at better is and be honest with ourselves is what was our intention,
Not only what was our intention, but do we accept it if it's refused?
right?
Right? Like if one of those kids are in a bad mood and they're like, "No, I'm in a bad mood and I'm going to sit on my bed and I'm going to pout." Would I have been, oh, okay, baby. Well, I'm just going to leave this little treat here. I hope you change your mind and gone up. No, absolutely not. I would have sat down on that bed and I would have had a conversation and a lecture and a conversation and a lecture until that child decided to agree with me.
I love that you use that because that's one of those things when we argue. I have argued with everyone in my life to get them to change their thoughts, opinions, behaviors, actions, whatever, to the what I wanted. I used to fight with Dylan to get him to see what I wanted. He was fighting with me to see get to for me to see what he wanted. And arguing is control, right? I don't know, but like about you guys, I don't need to argue anymore. I just don't need to argue with anybody. I don't argue with anybody. You don't see my way, okay. That's okay.
Yeah, that's
Like when's
such
the
a
last time you
huge.
argued with somebody?
I
Like
don't.
true, right?
Like I even had a conversation, not a conversation, but a text back and forth with Nick the other day. And for the first time ever, he was engaged in arguing with me. And I just kept repeating the same thing. No, I won't be doing that.
Right?
No, I won't be doing that. And after 3 or 4 times of no, I won't be doing that, I just stopped responding. Like I don't have anything left to
Like that's
say.
right, that's ingenious. You just stopped like and that
Imagine that. Like, I don't
right,
need to go back and forth with you. You don't have to agree with me. You don't have to like my opinion. You
right,
don't have to like my decision. You don't like, there's no need for this back and forth. Now, that's not to say I won't have a conversation
right,
because I care, right? Like I'm going to go to my child and I'm going to tell them what I think and how I feel and offer, here's this. And if they want it, right? Destiny, I offered her a place to stay. If you and Caleb and the baby would like to come and stay with me, you are welcome to come and stay with me. They didn't choose that. They chose something else. Okay, great. Beautiful. Have fun. Enjoy. Go. Be free. Whatever you want to do. If it works out, it's yours. If it doesn't, it's yours. It's not mine. If I
right,
were to get upset and angry that they didn't want to stay with me, that would be controlling.
right.
Right? It's not to say I shouldn't say, hey, if you want to come stay, you're welcome to stay. I'm still going to offer it, but if I
Or
accept the refusal without argument, go ahead, Mel.
I was gonna say too, like if there's fear involved, let's say there was a fear
Yeah.
like you would be worried, well, Destiny's living with so and so, and if they fight and they're gonna be on the streets and all this, you're gonna be like, no, come stay with me because this is the safest option. But it's the safest option for you, so you don't need to live in the discomfort of worrying about what your children are
Right.
doing, right?
But
So I
see,
got a feeling like control is a lot about fear and it's also learning how to sit in discomfort.
and that's the other thing about it too, right? Like
Yeah.
letting go of that fear, letting go of that worry. I don't worry about what Destiny is going to do. I have faith in who she is. Wait, what is that characteristic? Hold on, it's here. Believe the it's actually the very first one. Believe codependents often, and I'm just going to read this character. Codependents often believe people are incapable of taking care of themselves.
I that was my biggest thing. And it was because I had parents and adults when I was a wee that couldn't take care of themselves.
Right?
So
Mhm.
I was ingrained in me, I need to take care of this. I need to take care of this. I need to look after this. And and then I think it just morphed. And as I
It
got older,
turned
it
into
just
worry.
yeah, and
Mhm.
evolved and evolved and
It
evolved.
turned into this situation of me 24/7. I mean, I would dream about people making these terrible decisions that were going to ruin their
Yep.
lives, and how I could fix that decision before they ever made that like like you mentioned, Mel, all the fear of, if I was sitting worried about Destiny being homeless, or Destiny fighting, or Amelia being exposed to this, or Caleb having that, or like if I had to sit and worry about them and all the possible bad things that could happen, then I would have to go into control because I would be afraid. And the only way to ease my fear is to control that worry, at
Hmm.
least
Hmm.
when I'm wrapped up in the unhealthy patterns and when I'm being controlling. That's how it plays out. This ability that I have gained in recovery with awareness, in this growth and healing journey, this ability to no longer tell myself those insane stories and create
Hmm.
that fear has allowed me to let go of that control.
I want to go back to your story, Ashley, about where my daughter and their and her family are going to stay, right? What I think there one of the things that I know I struggled with control was, and I've heard this from other people, and it's been a topic of really with my sponsees this week and last couple weeks of, at what point is control bad versus right, or well, I'm worried about where my kids are going to stay, so I'm going to help them figure it out.
It's
Right,
not my job to figure it. So anytime I am being in control, it is unhealthy.
right.
That I feel very, 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 very strongly that if I am worried, if I am in fear, if I am acting without in somebody else's life without invitation, all of those things are unhealthy and I need to stop immediately.
But wait a minute. But Ash, you're worried about where your child is staying.
Doesn't matter.
How is that about you?
It because I'm worried. If my child is not worried, then why am I? And let me take this more, right? Because we're talking about a 22 or 23-year-old right now. Let me take it down to my 14-year-old. If she is not worried about her relationship with her father, then why
Yeah.
am I going to sit and worry about? She is 14. She's a child. She's a kid, but she has a mind of her own. She can think for herself. She knows what she wants. She knows what she believes is
Hmm.
good for her. I like, have I raised these people to have minds of their own? Did I not raise these guys to be able to think for themselves, to know what's good for them, to follow their authentic selves at all points in their lives? Like, do I not have faith in the mom that I have been for the last
Yeah.
20 some odd years?
That's a wonderful point, right? We control so we get something out of it. But why is it so hard to realize that I did a really good job giving my kids what they needed to be able to figure out, go out and live life,
For me, it was just awareness.
right?
I had no idea that by worrying about what they were going to do, I was doubting them, their ability to care for themselves.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, like, I just, it, when I look back on it now, it's so obvious. How did I not see it? Right. Like, when I look back, how did I not see how controlling it was to try to make everyone else happy before I even knew
Right.
what was wrong with them? How did I not see that? But at the time, I couldn't see it. I just thought I was doing what was best for everyone else. Now, what I realize is when I am not considerate of myself first, then I'm not being healthy. I'm in
Hmm.
control. I'm in unhealthy patterns and cycles when I'm anyone, when I'm putting their thoughts, feelings, and opinions higher and above my own. And that's not to say I don't examine other people, right? Like, when someone brings me a thought or a feeling or an opinion, I need to examine it. I need to take it in because I am considerate of other people.
When you say examine it, elaborate on that. What do you
Okay.
mean? Because we talk about this a lot. I need to examine it and see what I,
Cameron came to me the other day, not the other day, this was several weeks ago. Cameron came to me and we were just driving in the car, listening to music, and she turned down the music and she said, Mom, I really need you to not talk negatively about my dad.
hmm,
And I went, what? I try to be really careful. I can't help what you overhear when I'm talking to my friends and like I and 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 then I just kind of shut up. I just stopped talking because I knew when I heard myself say I can't really help what you overhear when I'm talking to my friends. I just kind of like something in my head was like, "What did you just say?" And I shut up. And I was like, I'm Cam, I'm not really sure what to say to that right now. I need you to give me a few minutes to process it. Do you mind if we turn the music back on and we'll just listen to some more music and I'm going to process a little bit and we'll talk about it in a minute. And she was like, yeah, yeah, sure. And during that processing time, what I had to do is examine that statement. My child just told me that she needs me to not talk negative about her dad. She didn't say I do talk negative. She didn't say I call him names. She didn't say I'm a horrible mom. She didn't say I beat him down in front of her. She didn't say any of that. She didn't attack me. Why am I feeling defensive?
right.
Okay. Take a deep breath. Feeling defensive. Why am I feeling defensive? If I'm feeling defensive, it's usually because there's something within that statement that's accurate.
Yep.
Okay. So what is accurate? What is accurate is I have some really negative feelings about her dad. What is accurate is I have some really negative thoughts about her dad. What is accurate is sometimes when I talk to my friends, I say some really negative shit about her dad. Sometimes when she gets pissed off about him and comes to me to vent about something that's happening, I don't just listen, I join,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not and let me be very clear. I have never called her father names. I have never told her what a horrible person I think he is. I don't think he's a horrible person, right? And there's a lot of freaking history. So I had to really like examine that within myself and realize that I do have negative thoughts, feelings, and opinions about this person. And those negative thoughts, feelings, and opinions are impacting this other person over here who I love very, very, very much. And I don't have negative thoughts, feelings, or opinions about. It's not impacting this person that I have the feelings about. I don't engage with him. It's not impacting him at all. Why do like my bad feelings towards him aren't affecting him. They're affecting me. They're affecting this other person who I love a lot, and they're affecting our relationship. Wow. Okay. Something's got to change. What's got to change? Well, I got to get rid of these negative thoughts, feelings, and opinions.
Right.
I have to. And then I started more processing, more conversation, more thoughts about how I get rid of this. Started looking into the difference between forgiveness and resentment, right? It goes into other conversations and topics. But about 45 minutes later, when we got to the place we were going, she went in, she did her thing, she came back out. And as we started leaving, I turned the music off again and I was like, hey, I want you to know that I've tried really hard to not talk negative about your dad in front of you. But because you just told me that, clearly I haven't done a good job of that. And I'm really sorry for that. I really want to do better. And I'm going to work really hard on my forgiveness and on my resentment. And I'm going to work really hard on letting go of my negative feelings. And she's just like, wow, okay, thanks, mom. We turned the music back on.
And
And that was it. We just went on with it.
kept it
It took
moving.
me an hour of process, but that safety, that examining of why I feel angry and defensive, that examining of why this person who I'm supposed to be their safe space, why would they would come at me with something like that if it wasn't true, right? Like wait a minute, she loves me. She loves our relationship is amazing. We do great with each other. And here she is telling me this vulnerable thing, which she's seen everything that's happened. She lives here. So she knows. And here she is still saying this to me.
Hmm.
And I was able to, oh my God, I'm so happy with myself. I was able to hear that. And instead of pushing her away and telling her she's wrong and getting defense of myself and creating a wall and jamming her up, I was able to pull her in. I
Right.
was able to hear what she said and acknowledge it and take it in and apologize and hold her feelings and her thoughts. I was able to hold. So I considered it. I examined it. I really took it in.
Hmm.
And it allowed this even deeper connection between her and I.
And a deeper connection with yourself.
Yeah. And and I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'm sure that has something to do with it. But the last week has been an amazing release week for resentment release and forgiveness as far as Nick is concerned. It's been amazing.
It's
Well,
one of the,
oh,
oh, sorry, Mel, go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just going to point out that what I hear is Nick no longer has control over you in a way too. Like you've taken your agency back.
Nick didn't have any control over me before.
Yeah, but
He
you know what I
didn't.
mean?
It
Yeah.
was it was this imaginary, like
Mary,
I gave him
your
like
power.
I mean I get what you mean by when you say he didn't have any control over me, because you're right, he didn't. But the actual person being who he is, he didn't have any control anyways, right? He's 1,400 miles away. We don't speak, we don't text, we don't communicate, we don't, he didn't have any control. But the imaginary that the resentment had control, the anger had control,
Right.
the
Fear.
feelings that I refused to acknowledge and deal with, those had control.
Mm-hmm.
And I love, Mel, how you said it, like, right, I think you've noted it, like the power, right? That's when we
Yeah,
talk about power. That's what we're talking about. In this situation with Nick, up until this week, you gave him your power. He
that's
had
it.
it all.
I gave him my power. Yeah.
He didn't take it. He didn't pull it. He didn't manipulate it. He didn't whatever. You just gave it away. But this week, right? Okay, I'm going to take that back. I don't need to give it to him anymore. I'm going to keep it right here with me. And then it comes down to just nothing. It's like
And
it's this freedom in a way. It is a freedom. It's not.
it is a huge freedom. It is a weight lifted. I
Hmm.
feel so much lighter. And I just want to be really clear for anyone that's listening, right? Because I know within the three of us, we know this, but the actual Nick, the actual human being, he didn't have my power.
No.
He had nothing. I mean, maybe in his head, I don't know what he had. That's right. But again, I gave my imaginary thing of Nick my
Yeah.
power. It wasn't the
Yep.
actual person, because we don't communicate, we don't engage. He didn't have anything. But this thing that I created in my, and the reason that's so important is because if I created it, then I can release it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to give a another little story. For just again, it's a story because there's so many ways that we control without realizing we control.
And this is the best way for me to understand it, right? Is
Yeah,
the stories, because
examples.
I'm
Yep.
like, oh, I would have done that. Oh, I did that. Yeah, I do that.
Yep, yep. And sometimes that's what I love about having conversations and right in conversations in recovery with other people in recovery where it is safe. Like I couldn't I'll just say this. This situation I had told my mom about, I didn't write hardware store milk. That can't and she didn't do anything wrong. She didn't whatever, but the realization did not come by having a conversation with her. The self-realization came having this conversation about control today. So here's the story, and it's so dumb, but it's true. It's a reality for me. So Mark was in a car accident, I don't know, month and a half ago, and ended up his vehicle was totaled. Um, Mark is, for those that don't know, is my youngest son's dad, and there's a lot of history around him. And I've let that go. I have worked through it. He does not have my power. He does not have my thing. I am grateful for him in my life because when I have gratitude, there's no room for anything else. And I also know Mark has not changed. And that's one of the things I wanted to say to you with what you said, Ash, too. So I'm going to squirrel here for just a second. In your story about Nick and this week, Nick didn't change. Ashley
No, not at
changed.
all. Yeah. Yeah. It had nothing to do with him.
Right, right. So that's just wanted to note that. And I think that sometimes it's take the credit when you get you deserve it.
That's the key about it being my creation, my imaginary, right? Is it
Yep.
doesn't take him changing, it doesn't take the other person doing anything. I now have the power to make the change that I need to
Hmm.
make so that that imaginary thing that I gave all my power to no longer has control over me.
Right. And celebrate that win. Like, right, you reached out, and I know I'll get back to my story, but I forgot if I wanted to mention this. But right, you did what you needed to do, right? You reached out and said, you told Mel and I, hey, this happened, this da 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 da. Celebrate those wins. That's the thing that I think we forget and we don't encourage enough. I don't care how small the win is in this program because this shit is hard. Celebrate that shit. Celebrate
For
it.
sure,
There's
for sure.
nothing that's too small to celebrate. So, anyways, Mark was in a car accident, totaled his vehicle, blah blah blah. Um, my dad and my mom and I went to the hospital the night of the accident. Again, a lot of history, but I don't hold any of that with Mark. It is what it is. Um, I'm the only one that suffers in that if I hold it, so it's just not worth it. Doesn't mean it's not there, doesn't mean it didn't happen, just means I'm not hanging on to it because I just don't want to. It takes too much energy. So anyways, he comes over with his new truck. And I will say, true statement, I like this truck much better. That's my opinion, whatever. And I kept telling him, I kept looking at it and I'm like, I really like this truck. It's really, really nice. It's really, it's so much better than the other one. I like this better. I like that better. And I like this better. And all of that was a very much a true statement. Everything was true. But as I sat here today with this conversation, what I realized was my true intention was I don't want to hear him complain about it because Mark is a complainer. Nothing is ever good enough. And in that moment was I being truthful and saying, yes, I love this. Yes, I love this. But if when it when I real like it hit me just now was there was that voice in the back of my head. It was there. It was there. I am lying to myself if I say it wasn't in that moment. And what I was saying was true, but it was there.
And
I,
what if he had said, how would you have felt? How would you have reacted if you can guess? What if he had said, yeah, what about this part? I don't think I like this part so much.
so that's funny. He actually is like, well, I really like the color of the other one. And I'm like, yeah, but this has this feature and this feature and this feature. Again, true statements. All of that was true. My opinion, I loved this vehicle a hell of a lot more than the other one. The other one
But
was
that's
ugly,
control, right?
but that is control because
Like, who
I
cares
am
about that color you don't like? Here, look at all this good stuff over here.
right, right.
And it's almost like the prepare, like Mel was talking about before, right? It's the before somebody complains, I'm going to point out all the amazing stuff so I don't have to hear them complain.
And that's what it is. And again, we've said this, we say this, two things can be true at the same time, right? I was trying to control him so I don't have to listen to him down the road. Oh, because trust me, he will complain because whether it's a weather or whether it's his truck or whether it's, you know, Colin didn't answer the phone. Um, and it's true, I like this truck better. Period. Both are true, both are accurate. One does not diminish the other. It's just they're true. And so I think that's, like I said, it's important to have places you can go to have a conversation. It's also important to be open. And you said this when you were talking about the whole situation with Cam, right? Let me reflect. Let me analyze it. Let me be honest with myself. The only way knowing oh, if she brought this up, it's important to her. And if somebody brought it up, is that there probably is something when I feel triggered, there's some truth in it. And I have to start being honest with myself. And that's how it makes it easier to be honest with others.
For sure. Mel, do you have any stories of awareness of control and things like Dawn and I just were
Oh God,
so many.
so many. Um, like I said before, my control has a lot to do with people's emotions. Um, and I, what I don't know, like if I'm so in control, needing control of other people's emotions, I can never figure out why I surrounded myself with people I could not securely attach to. Like, do you know what I mean? I, I, I chose people that I couldn't emotionally attach to so I could control them and point out all of their, you know, um, things that they could change so I could be better, you know? But it wasn't that black and white. Like it wasn't, it was done in such a way that I could not see the sickness in it. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't see the codependency in it. It took me a long time to figure out that over caring, oversharing, shaming and blaming, and all that stuff is control. Um, I mean, it even started as even when my son was small. I would tell him all the time, don't do that, you hurt mommy's feelings. You know, making another person responsible for my feelings, making someone else responsible for my outcome. And I never realized how controlling that was.
Yeah. I love that one actually. Um, that just that innocent mom thing where really you're teaching your the thought is I'm teaching my child to be a better person by treating people the right way and not hurting their feelings. But in reality, you were controlling.
I was controlling his need to just be a kid,
Right.
you know, and now my son is 30, so we can talk about that kind of thing. And he has said, like, Mom, like your emotions ruled the house.
Hmm.
Like that's how you controlled us is with my emotions. So if I didn't like something, I would use guilt,
Yeah.
or I would turn it around and make it the other person's problem, not mine, when really it was always my problem.
Mm. Made me think of example of where I would get in an argument or I'd have get in I wouldn't like something my partner said or did or whatever, right? And instead of arguing, I would get quiet, right? Well, I wouldn't argue. And I wouldn't argue, but then I'd go whatever room I was in, I shut the counters or cupboards a little bit harder. I shut the door a little bit harder. I stomped around maybe, or I walked a little bit harder. Um,
Silent treatment?
no, it was
Never?
as loud could be because, right? It wasn't silent treatment. It wasn't just walking away. It was slam. I let different noises control the situation, right?
Your
You're gonna
body
know
language spoke, but your words didn't.
exactly. I'm gonna let you know I didn't like what you said, slam. And not slam like, what, right? Just
Just
shut
loud
it.
enough to know that something's wrong.
Exactly. Control. That is control.
Mhm.
That is one of the silent treatment is one of the most controlling manipulation tactics there are in the world.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you can't tell someone, hey, I really need some time to process this. I'm going to go for a walk and I'll come back in an hour.
Yeah, that's not silent
Or,
treatment, right?
hey, we're getting ready to go into this dinner. Let's table this discussion and we'll come back after dinner, right?
Hmm.
That's saying I need time is not the silent treatment. But boy, The control and the manipulation behind just shutting down and refusing to communicate anymore about anything for days, hours, weeks, months, whoever knows how long. That
Hmm.
is like, that is holding somebody emotionally hostage at its core.
Yes.
And
Um,
I've done that and I've been on the other side of it. And I have to tell you, being held that way and doing it to another person, it
It's
is
just
just,
shitty.
it is shitty to go through, to not, uh, and, but you can't force a conversation. You can't control a conversation anyways. Like it's, uh,
the more I tried to force the conversation, the more silent treatment I got typically.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
But I
or
also
passive
couldn't
aggressiveness.
accept the silent treatment, right? Because what do you
Are
mean
you
you're
gonna
still
talk
going
to
to
me?
eat the dinner I cooked, but you're going to
Yeah.
sit at the table and not say a word?
We're
What do
not gonna
you
talk about
mean?
this?
Right. Like, are we like, what do you mean when I say what's wrong? You're going to say nothing, but then you're going to go to bed without a kiss goodnight,
Hmm.
right? Or without eye contact for 8 hours straight,
Or
or
get in bed
like
instead of spooning me, you intentionally
roll the
put your
other way.
yes.
Yeah.
Like right, all of this is control, just in different forms.
It is. It is
Mm.
control and manipulation.
Yep.
All manipulation is
Yes.
control.
Rob
And
and I would used to get into these like really crazy, odd, like awful fights. And he would go, okay, this would get me every single time. And I would spiral. We'd be in a really big fight, then all of a sudden he would be happy. He's not talking to me. He's going on about with his day. He's doing things and he's whistling.
just annoy the
That
fuck
was
out of you.
one Nick would do
Oh,
too.
I hated that one. I hated that.
We would get in a fight and then we'd get around our friends and he would be giving me the silent treatment. But to everybody else, he was Mr. Charismatic. And I was like, what the? Like, even in front of people, they'd be all talking and everybody participated. And I'd say something and he would just talk to somebody else as if Ashley had never even spoken. Like, that was the worst. Oh, it would get me every time.
Hmm.
Like, how dare you smile and be happy while I sit here seething?
I
Right.
know.
But who
Yeah.
chose to seethe?
Right.
Yes,
That's the
exactly.
Right?
thing.
And that's an
Yeah.
attempt at emotional control. That's an attempt at manipulating me. I'm seething. Don't you see me? Don't you care? Look over here. Shouldn't we talk about like, okay, granted, to go and be happy and just ignore them is also control and manipulation. Where's the middle ground, right?
Right.
Where's the place where I say, I can't process this right now. Give me a day or two. Let me work on it and I will come back to you. And then somebody respects that. And we still treat each other with love and kindness for 2 days until we come back and have
Right.
this conversation.
You know what? And I think that really to get out of that pattern of doing it, it really the steps have helped me and really looking at my taking my own inventory and looking at my at every single one of these patterns and seeing how I showed up in them. And I think what had to happen is I had to take my control out of everything else and bring it back into myself. I had to learn self-control and my own agency to step out of these patterns. And that's uncomfortable. I have to say,
So
it's not comfortable to do.
I do want to talk about that a little bit.
yeah,
Go
me
Yeah.
ahead,
too.
Dawn. You were going to say something
No,
though.
I was gonna. I want to talk about it as well. And so my thing was, I think, right, and I'm sure with your sponsees, right, there's always these questions around control and what's good, what's bad. But when you say self-control, Mel, what does that look like? What do you mean by self-control? Because it's right, it's control.
Ho- Honestly, right now, if I have to say what is my biggest thing in self-control, I am learning the pause.
Yes, it is. That's what the
So
one I was going to say too. It's
I
about
want to
a
go a little
fucking pause.
I want to go further than that though, because
Oh, okay.
the
I
reason the
know. We were
pause is
celebrating.
needed,
Celebrate our
so,
wins.
right? Because the pause is the win,
I
right?
love the pause.
I
But
know.
the reason the pause is needed is because, in my opinion, let me preface this by saying very, very much in my opinion, and a couple of you or both or one of you may very strongly disagree with me here. In my opinion, the reason the pause is needed is because the only self control we have, the only control I have over myself is my behavior.
Yeah.
I cannot control my thoughts. I cannot control my feelings. I can only control my physical behavior. I can
That includes
control,
includes words,
correct. Words
right?
are part of a behavior, right?
Yep.
That's a physical action. I can't control which thoughts come to my head. I can control which thoughts I latch onto. It takes
Yes.
practice, it takes time, it takes a lot of practice. But controlling which thoughts I hold on to is possible. I cannot control which thoughts come into my brain. I have learned through these last 5 years of really, really working in recovery, I have learned that the thoughts that come up, they're not mine. They come from my mom, they come from my dad, they come from my grandparents, strangers, cousins, uncles, aunts, internet, wherever. Which ones I hold on to are the ones that are mine.
I find that the pause also for myself, and I do agree with everything you said about
Yeah.
that, but I find that with the pause for myself actually gives me time to observe my thought, not attach myself to it, not
Yes.
believe it, but become aware of it. And then if I need to have that quick conversation with that part that's coming up, that's bringing on, you know, the physical reaction I'm having in my body. Because really, if something hits for myself, if something hits me and I don't like it, I'm going to feel it in my body first. And I used to always bypass that. That was the biggest thing I used to bypass was what was going on in my body, and I go straight to the thought and think it was real.
Mm-hmm.
And Mel, I used to feel it in my body first too. And I think now I've finally caught up to where I hear the thought and I choose whether or not to hold on to it. And then I start to feel it physically. Now, feeling it in my body, feeling it physically is very different than having a feeling, right? Right.
Hmm.
My emotions, my feelings, I can't control those. Sometimes I feel sad in the middle of the day for no reason at all. Sometimes I feel anxious because I'm walking across an empty parking lot. I have no idea why. And it's usually not actually attached to walking across the parking lot. And sometimes the feeling of anxiety is there. And I have to be able to realize, Ash, it's okay. I don't control my feelings. I look around, I see I'm in an empty parking lot. I see that there's no danger. I see that there's nothing to be anxious about. That's okay. Let the anxiety go. And
Mm-hmm.
I have to acknowledge the anxiety and then let it go. Right? It's not like I'm like, no, don't be anxious. There's nothing to be anxious about. Stop being anxious. Because that beating it down just makes it fight back harder.
Right.
Right? I
And I think
have to
that's
be
what you're talking
kind
about
with
is
it.
being in that present moment, right? Being in the moment. I'm not, where did this come from? Where this, right? It's let me be in this moment, look around the parking lot. I'm safe. There's nobody here. This is that, right? There's that. I'm going to be in this moment and check that feeling. And is it a air quote valid
Right.
feeling?
Accept it and then analyze it.
Exactly. Because maybe you when maybe 6 years ago, and I'm exaggerating because I know you're talking about the parking lot at work, but and you weren't there, but maybe 6 years ago you walked across that parking lot and maybe got a little bit of sad news. And maybe it's not at the forefront. Maybe there's something ingrained in you from then that you just felt in that moment. And I figured this was the Yes.
I didn't even think about that, but you're
Uh-huh.
probably 100% right. That's
Yeah.
probably where that parking lot anxiety comes from.
Yes. Right. And it's using that present moment to know I am not in that same situation. It doesn't matter what it is, what happened, if it was something that happened before, it's in this moment, I am good.
And I didn't even need to know. Like you did just connect that dot for me, but I didn't need that dot connected,
Mm-mm.
right? All I needed to know, and yes, connecting that dot will help. It will allow me to possibly process that anxiety and no longer feel it in these
Right?
random occasions. However, without connecting that dot, I am still able to process the anxiety in the moment and say kindly, yes, I feel scared or anxious. Yes, I know I feel like something is happening. However, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath, allow my heart to settle down. I'm okay. I got me. There's nothing to be afraid of. Let's just keep it moving. We're good. It's a very different scenario than beating down the anxiety in order to not feel it,
Right.
right? One works, the other doesn't.
Last night at Friendsmas, we have a character of a friend, and he is like a 90-year-old grumpy old man in a 50-year-old man's body. Like just an unhappy person, right? Just in general. And we're all having fun. Like he doesn't drink. He just kind of sits there like a log and just he's really grumpy. And um I noticed him last night and then I went up to him and I said, "Can I get you anything? Is there anything you can do?" He goes, "Yes, it could stop being so loud around here." And I'm like, "You're at a party, right?" And like the old me would have said, "Oh, Mike, do you want to go outside? Do you want to go get some fresh air? Do you want to go for a walk?" Like needing to
Fix it.
tend to, yeah, fix it. And and I just kind of this time I just said, "No, you want to be there and be miserable? Okay, you be you. I just won't look at you for the rest of the night. I'm gonna
And
go
that
on
can
with
be,
my." And that was so that felt so unusual for me to do that because
mhm.
I normally have to be the hostess with the mostest, make sure everyone's always happy. And I had to sit with the discomfort of saying, okay, you be you, I'm going to be me. That's tough, especially when you're in the program and you're new to it and you're getting used to having sitting with feelings of
Mhm.
discomfort because I know with my codependency, I'm always trying to make myself feel better. So because I'm not, I don't want to feel yucky about myself, right? Or yucky about anybody. But I did it and it didn't ruin my night. It
It
actually,
probably made it better.
it did. I just stopped looking at them.
Right? And
Yeah.
I think there's part of like, right, this is a selfish program, this, but then there's also that understanding of this person sitting on this couch trying to control everyone else to get them to
Yes.
do,
I
right?
don't,
And I've been that broody person before, right?
Yes.
And what is my intention? Oh, for people to come up and say something, people to come up and make me feel better, or get a point across, whatever it may be.
I don't think this is a selfish program. I think this is a self first program because the right there and for me there's a very big difference. Selfish is I consider myself and myself only at all times, only me. Self first is I consider myself first. I do consider other people. I think about other people. And our program teaches a lot about, right? We stress a lot about being considerate, creating safe
Yes.
spaces, accepting everyone for who they are, trusting people to make their own decisions. And in order to do all that, we have to be considerate of them.
Hmm.
And what I need is most important
I love that you
because
said that. Yeah.
when I follow my heart and I follow my authentic self, everything around me works out in this insanely amazing, magical way that everyone else benefits from too.
Yeah. I love that you said that, and I think that's a great way to end it. Um, and thank you for the correction on that because you're right. And I don't think being selfish it has to always be a bad thing. Um, But I do, you're right. This is a self first program. It always has, but life should be self first. And I mean,
Absolutely.
right, it goes back and using one of our most favorite analogies is put on an airplane, put your oxygen mask on you first, then put it on the person with you, your child. Um, if I'm not my best self, I cannot be my best self for everyone else.
That's so true. And I also find that if I'm trying to control everything, I'm the only one having a good time, or I'm the only one that like, you would think that you're going at people pleasing and all that, you're just about trying to make everybody else feel good. But really, the end of the day, you're just trying to make yourself feel good.
Mhm.
And
But
it
it's
doesn't
not, but
even
it does, but
work.
it's not working.
It doesn't even work. That's the hardest part,
It
right?
does not
The
work.
only person having a good time when I'm being controlling is me, except that I'm not even having a
And a
good
good
time.
time.
Right?
Yeah, like I just looked at the guy last night and he was just not having a good time. And
But how
you
many
have to
people
ask
went
if,
over and tried to,
oh God, people have given up on this guy a long
oh,
time
okay.
ago.
Okay, so maybe okay, maybe he's a lost cause.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, maybe
He
he
is.
was having his own version of a good time. Maybe that's as good of a
Maybe.
time as he can have.
But
Yeah,
Who
here's
maybe.
a great
knows?
example of this, right? And thinking about, is he married?
No.
Okay. So this is doing what everybody else wants me to do. I
Hmm.
was going to say maybe he's doing it for his wife, but that's why I asked if he was married. But I'm going to go and do what everybody else wants me to do. And instead of saying, you know what? I don't have a good time at these parties.
Don't come.
I'm just going to stay home. I love you guys, but to me, it gets to be a little bit too much. It's overwhelming, and I'm going to stay home.
Well,
Imagine how good he would feel if he did that.
I wish he would.
Right?
I wish he would, but he doesn't, and he's very like he. Unfortunately, he just doesn't. He's very lonely, and
He
he
probably has a therapist telling him to go out on Friday nights. And so he goes out to the parties because people around him are telling him that's what he needs to do in order to get out of his kick. And instead of trusting himself and believing himself,
Yep.
he's listening to everybody else. So now he's miserable and he's making people around him miserable. That is how control works.
works.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. He got angry with what people brought. He fought this party tooth and nail. Like it was combative from the get-go. We started talking about Friendsmas. It was combative. Nothing went the way he wanted it to go.
And
And
so it's easy to
easy,
just not go.
yeah, just don't come.
It goes back to the pause. This,
Yeah,
right?
do what's right for you.
I get these texts from this one person, and it's gotten to a point where it's like when I get them, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And I have two options. I can say, are you fucking kidding me? Or three option. I can say, are you fucking kidding me? Or I can say, why don't you do this? Or I can just not answer. Right? That's a that isn't a pause, but sometimes just not saying anything means that I'm not controlling. It means that I'm not doing anything. It means, you know what? You figure it out.
I love that you just said that, Don, because it brought up something for me. When I am telling myself that I have no other choice, usually I'm being controlling.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's a good
There's
one.
always a choice. I may not like my choices. I may not like my options. I may not like other people's options. But when I'm telling myself that I have no choice, they have no choice, so and so
Yes.
has, then I am being controlling. If I acknowledge the choice and I acknowledge that I or they or whoever is making the good choice, the bad choice, whatever, it's a
The choice for
choice,
them.
right? Then it takes my control out because it's
Right.
allowing them to choose, allowing me to choose instead of me being controlling.
Right. And I think that's the case. Like if I have three choices and I don't like all three of any of the choices, but I still have to make one of the choices, which we've all been in those kind of situations, it's okay to make a choice and say, I made the best choice of the choices.
I think it's important to own that I made the choice,
Right. And
right?
there's where we go back into I'm doing the best I can with what I knew at the time. These are my choices. In this moment, I know these three things. I know for me, this is the lesser of the three choices, and this is the choice I'm going to go with. So that was the best choice for me in that moment.
For
Mhm.
sure. For sure. I feel
So
like this conversation could go for hours.
I think we
probably
could
Control is
could.
talk
such a
about,
big one.
I think we just scratched the surface of control.
Should
Like
we do it?
it's,
You want to come back? Let's do another one.
if you want
We
to, guys.
definitely
Yeah, we
can.
All
Sure.
could. We
right. Let's do
could.
part 2 next one.
All
Okay.
right.
All
Sweet.
right.
Alrighty.
Control again next time.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Mel. Thanks, Ash. Thanks, listeners, for joining us. Thanks for being patient with us when we take breaks and step away. Um, keep coming back. It
It
works if you
works if
work
you
it.
work it.
And work it. You are worth it.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
We would like to thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery. Visit the Work It website at workitYouAreWorthIt.com to submit your questions and topics for future episodes. And remember, work it because you are worth it.